Good evening. Welcome to another exciting adventure at Bobe's Hobby House. I have tonight as a guest my son, who's a guest. He comes home from college every now and then and
once in a while
keeps guesting and that kind of stuff. We'd like to talk tonight about plastic model display, which we'd like to separate a little bit from plastic model building, and we've got a grab bag of odd things out here that we're going to show a couple of little bits and pieces. As we were coming onto the program, now this is a little diorama that you did, Michael. What?
This is something I did a couple of years ago. This is one of the simplest forms of display, is some of the Matchbox kits and some of the other kits that come with the whole display in the package. And you can see on this one,
the big hand comes down from the sky and moves it the wrong way.
This is a set of the long-range desert group in 1/76 scale, and the whole line of Matchbox armor comes with their own display bases. The different bases come with different types of details. This one has a bombed-out building kind of thing, and a couple extra little details there. And I thought this would be a good, easy, simple piece to bring and show everybody that, you know, some of the kits are good.
And besides, it's one of the pieces you've mostly finished.
I've mostly finished. Yeah, that's true. There's not a lot of those I've done.
I'm not in a good place to talk about or criticize people who haven't finished projects.
I haven't glued all these pieces down or anything, but this can show a lot of different things here on ways to finish up one of these bases. This is a rather simple plastic base, in that it comes molded in basically one color or two colors and things. And you can see a lot of the...
You've painted everything there,
sure
and this is all painted. One of the first things that a plastic model builder learns to do is to paint things. And this is painted both inside and out with flat paints, which is very realistic. Unless you're modeling Blue Angel models, which are waxed carefully, then most of the things are kind of dull. Airplanes, ships, tanks, trains, and then to carry that a step further, sometimes there's weathering effects that are on there, which is something I'd like to do. I've taken a little bit of squirt of burnt umber paint here, and this is an acrylic paint that we find in the craft department, which we also have at Bobe's Hobby House. And I'm going to use this in the gurgle method to mix approximately 2 parts water to 1 part of paint, and gurgle, that's about right. And we'll stir that up here with my trusty little tester's brush.
Open a brush here.
Open a brush.
This is one of the, this is another one of the sets here. This is a vacuform base, which comes in another one of the diorama pieces that ESCI puts out in the smaller scale.
Let's go for more than 2 to 1.
Okay, what he's trying to do here is attempt a wash kind of thing. Okay, we've done a basic
coat. Catch the phone
coat.
while you talk about that.
Let's see what.
Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House. Not really, okay.
Okay, this is basically trying to bring out the highlights and details. Okay, on this kind of thing where you're trying to do a wash, we've painted a very base coat over it. Yeah, he's gotten it thinned down a little bit more now. Okay, when you do this, the base coat, you have everything is basically the same color. On a wash, you try and thin the paint down where it's going to sink down into all the little nooks and crannies and darken those. You usually do that with a little bit darker coat than whatever your base coat is.
We can still
and that'll sink down in there. And that'll kind of bring out some of the recesses and everything.
Okay,
instead of having everything be the same color.
What we're trying to do here is emphasize the shadows. All the ladies that do makeup and stuff, that's basic training for the women, I think. Am I correct on that? I don't hear any squawks in the background, so I guess we're still okay. This very thin paint is settling down into the crevices, and it kind of highlights that. So this looks kind of sloppy, and it is sort of sloppy. But
you don't have to worry about that too much, because you can go back and repaint over the top, doing some dry brushing, which we'll show you a little bit.
Okay. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Yes. Do you know where they sell model rocketry?
We sure do. We've got a lot of model rockets up there.
Okay. Do you know how much they run for?
Beginning sets start at about $23, but the individual rockets sometimes are less than $4.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks for calling. That's a demonstration of the variety of things that we stock up at Bobe's Hobby House. We do have model rocketry, and I think after last night, in our neighborhood at least, there were some...
Lots of rockets around.
They were rockets, but I don't think they were model rockets. Yeah, that was a different sort of thing. Okay, so we've slopped a lot of paint on this and trying to highlight The crevices, now this is, keep in mind, am I making a big enough mess of getting the towels out?
I think you're making a mess.
Okay.
That's all right. One of the things you can do on that is if you think it's getting too dark or something, you can go back with a paper towel and wipe off some of the top things. You can see in the area here where it's beginning to get, it sinks down in there. It'll look really dark in all the holes and everything there.
Try blotting off the top of that. Let's see if that...
Let's see how that does.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you can see how that brings out the details there a lot. The top parts where you can wipe off with the paper towel easily
get over in this neighborhood
will be in your base coat color, and then all the areas down below that will be the darker color. Usually you might use something a little closer. It kind of depends on what you want, what effect you want to get.
Okay, this kind of wash method is being used on the military armor and that sort of thing.
Yes.
And even on figures. Particularly if you're doing 76 or 72nd figures. While we have a few people around who actually paint faces on figures that small, the majority of people just take a dark wash and splotch that across the face, and the paint will settle into the eyes and the face features, so that it gives you a pretty nice face without having gone to the trouble of painting eyeballs and that sort of thing. You say we do have some people who delight in doing that. One fellow that painted brass buttons on Revolutionary War figures, and after he painted 4, he said that was quite enough. There were 46 more in the box, but he thought he'd just let those go. Okay, so this is a wash technique. We can also, do you want to put some on your diorama over there, or is that?
I think I'm going to wait and do that.
I think you're going to wait and do that at home when we got a little more peace and quiet there.
More.
Okay, so we've got this lovely paint mixed up. We wanted to talk too about dry brushing techniques.
Right.
And I'm going to use this same brush. Let's put that someplace
We'll put this over
safe.
the side here.
And for the dry brush, we have a little jar of paint someplace around here that's a lighter color. On the dry brush technique, instead of going for the crevices, we go for the highlights. But first, we stir up our paint.
On this, you want to use a little lighter color than on your base coat. And again, these wash techniques and dry brushing techniques can be used in all kinds of modeling. You can use it in your armor models, you can use it in your aircraft models, all kinds of things.
Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Yes, I want to know, is that picture carved out?
The picture?
This base here?
The base, yeah, this base comes with a set. Michael, what is this set?
Okay, this is a series of dioramas that's made by ESCI. They're in the same scale as the long-range desert group we've got here, in the 172nd, 176th scale range. They have a series of different things here. This is a vacuform base. It's a very thin plastic that they suck down over a mold to give it this impression.
Okay.
These sets come with a number of figures or a number of vehicles so that you can set up a whole scene.
Okay, thanks for calling.
All right.
This same kind of scene could have been done using plaster or styrofoam or any number of other materials. We got another phone call here. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Yes, I have different ones of those. How many different ones do you have?
Of these dioramas? I would say there's probably 20 different dioramas we've got there.
Okay, how much do they run?
I believe the ones with only figures in them run anywhere, I believe they start in the range of $15 for the large set like this.
Okay, what, they're sets smaller than that?
There are smaller sets where I have just figures or just the armor, different sets like that, and you can get into those for about, the figures run from $275 up, and the armor probably from about $3 up.
Okay, so who was going to get when we come to the Bobe's Hobby House, right?
We encourage that, yeah. Thanks for calling.
Welcome, bye-bye.
Right. Okay, this dry brush technique that we're doing here, there's not much contrast between the base paint. And what I've done is brushed a little bit of it out on the paper until it streaks, and then you just lightly kind of drag the brush over so that it touches only the highlights. Any paint that might be left in the crevices, and I'm trying to avoid the ones that I just made because those crevices are still wet. So it gives you some heightened detail on your three-dimensional surfaces. One of the advantages that you find in this, this is a little technique I learned too. Let me show you how you wipe off the edge of the bottle now that you've had the paint out. This keeps the lid from getting stuck on there so that you can never get it out later. So that's something that's good to take note on. I wanted to remind people too, when we, just before we came to the studio, we shot aerosol paint onto this base and painted it a, what color was that?
Dark tan.
Dark tan, which is a nice flat finish color. The paint is not totally dry probably, but it was dry enough to handle. That's the neat thing about flat paints is they dry pretty quick. But when you're finished with your aerosol can, if you turn it upside down and hold the trigger down until the paint color clears, then your nozzle won't be clogged up and you'll get more use out of your paint can. We like to see people getting the best use they can out of whatever their hobby material, and we try to point those things up as we go.
Okay, in doing these different washes and stuff, you can see this is, it gets to be kind of a mess at first when you're doing it, but you don't have to worry about that. Like I said, if you have too much of the wash on too many of the highlighted areas, you can go back and you can brush in some of the base color. On this small LRDG set that I did, we'll kind of hold this up over here too. That's how I got a lot of the finish on this. There were about 3 or 4 colors that were washed and dry brushed onto here, and it just kept on doing some more until it looked like it was pretty good. We did some different colors of wash and dry brush over the stone base coats.
Okay, this is designed to make you a more observant person. As you go out into your yard and look at the ground and ditches or whatever else, you'll find that the earth is not all as labeled in the bottles. This is not all necessarily earth color, and the earth comes in different colors even in our neighborhood. Every place from black to white, we find that kind of earth material in Pensacola, with a lot of red thrown in between. I'd like to take for a moment some of our favorite flavor, tacky glue, and we're going to grow a little grass right up on top of this. Okay, we'll squirt this out, and this is kind of thick and it'll be quick drying, so we'll help that working out by sticking our fingers in it. Not to worry about that because it all comes off in the wash, and then we take that jar full of grass and we'll just plant some grass here real quick. The grass that we have comes in a package from Woodland Scenics. It's ground up foam rubber. It's dyed in a green color, and this glue probably will have to dry overnight. Yeah, that's how the packages look. Okay, so what I've done here is kind of pat this down, and we got some rough looking grass right there, which gives you a little texture all around the edge of it. Now, grass does not come in solid. This is bright green grass as seen on a golf course. You'll find a lot of times that grass, I know in my front yard, the grass is several different colors, which it's mostly brown, green now that we've had all the rain, but before the rain, some of it was brown. So one of the things that you want to do is mix more than one color into your patch of grass. Also, don't cover the entire everything over here. You'll notice that particularly when you get in the wild, grass doesn't grow in a nice even cover. You grow it in little patches and clumps of trees and that sort of thing. While we're playing in the glue, let's pave our roadway here for a second. We'll glop some more glue on. Where's a good place to?
Well, okay, let's talk. You were talking about the conservation of materials there. We'll save the grass here. What you can do when you wipe that glue onto there and you pour your grass on there, if you use just a piece of paper or paper towel,
you can tip the whole world over.
Tip the world over and shake it off. That'll get all the excess grass off,
and we can pour that back into the bucket where
right
we
back
can
in your
use
bottle.
It again. All right, while we're playing in the glue, though, we're going to make a roadway here that has some gravel on it, and I brought a little handy bucket full of gravel. Once again, we're going to stick our finger in the glue. Incidentally, this glue can be used for a lot of things. If you want to make mud puddles on the side of the road, it's white now, but it'll dry clear, and that's pretty neat. A little mud puddle with a bright, shiny little pile of water in it. Okay, and then I'll wipe my finger off one more time, and we'll play in the gravel with that same spoon that we just played in the grass. This gravel also is from the Woodland Scenics Company. It comes in a variety of colors. It's good for making roadways. It's good for doing road bed. It's good for, I guess you could park airplanes on it. We're going to take a break and quit playing in the glue here for a minute, and when we come back, we've got some more bright and shining things to show you for more detailed models. Stick with us. We'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we were just talking about gravel and grass, and we've got a couple other things that we wanted to mention in the way of foliage materials. We have grass comes in several different colors and several different styles. You've got one here that's called a static grass, and I'm not real sure what that actually means, but it looked neat. It's imported from Belgium. We also have some foliage material, also made by the Woodland Scenics Company, who does an outstanding job on the scenic materials. And we brought with us tonight a little tree model here that was built by Mr. A.W. Long, who currently has a model of pine forest trees. Am I saying that right?
When Yellow Pine
was King was the title. But this is an exhibit showing how those pine trees were made, and he made some of the best pine trees I think I've ever seen in there. He began by twisting a wire until he branched it up at the top here with all the branches, and then he wrapped the bottom edge of it with tape. In this case, he used masking tape. He might also have used floral tape, something else in one of the other departments. And then he covered the tape with a bark material, which looks like real pine bark. But in this case, it came from the saw, and I think this was sawdust of mahogany, which makes an incredible tree bark. The more texture that you see. Now, the foliage on the top was some of the Woodland Scenics type foliage that he tore little tufts of it off and stuck it out on the branches. And in the forest scene that's in the window currently at Bobe's Hobby House, you'll see one of the most incredible pine forest operations, showing everything from the trees growing to the trees being cut and dragged. And I think this thing was made back, or it's depicting a period of time when steam locomotives were running. This must have been in the late 1800s, and about 100 or so years ago. And it shows the logs being dragged up to the train by oxen and that sort of thing. Really neat piece of work he's done, a museum-type material. We have other tree kits available. Again, some from Woodland Scenics. Michael has a package here from Verlinden. If you've ever wanted to make a palm tree.
Some other types of trees that are hard to make, and Verlinden has been nice enough to make some really neat pieces here. What this is, to get the fronds of the palm tree and everything, is he's got a resin trunk, which is really nicely done, and all this nice shiny stuff here is a photo etched brass. And so he's got all the individual fronds and everything done in a photo etched brass, so that you can put together a really nice 35th scale palm
art
tree.
people, you might have a nice piece of work here too. Let's pick up the phone while we're doing this.
Okay.
Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Put this back together.
Yes, I'd like to know, what are your hours of operation?
We are open from 9 till 6 Monday through Saturday, and we get Sundays off, and we're glad.
All right, thank you very much.
All right, thanks for calling.
There are a number of other scenery materials. You can get there's various building kits on several different scales. Whoops, we got these open so you can see all the different things.
Let's open one of those up. While you're doing that, I'm going to pick up the next phone. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House.
Can you buy the little trees already made? Can you buy them separately so you can make them by yourself?
Okay, let me explain what we're trying to do here at Bobe's Hobby House a lot. Is we're trying to separate toys and hobbies, with construction being the criteria. So yes, there are trees available, but you're going to find in many cases that you can make a better looking tree for less money if you'll do it yourself. And this is the hobby part that we're really trying to promote. So that's what we're pressing on.
Okay, thank you.
Right, appreciate the call.
Bye.
Okay, I have here a couple of the Verlinden line of buildings and things. This is made of a dental stone, and it's kind of hard to see the material.
Okay,
but,
if we can get a good shadow on it, I think you can pick up the texture.
Yeah, there's
somewhere along
an amount
here.
of brick texture.
The brick detail on that white it needs to be.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to see on here.
Needs to be painted and stained and all that.
Oh, it does. It's really nice materials, though.
We're going to pick up the phone again. Hi, you're on Bobe's Hobby House. Not really. Okay. These plaster pieces will be assembled using white glue, or
you can use white glue or
epoxy
or some of the super glues.
Okay, and then they can be painted and stained and make some just incredible things. Also, on the cover of the box, they show you some of the detail work that shows debris, the broken parts of the building that are missing and falling down. And I discovered a few weeks ago that debris comes in types, like type B debris, which would be bricks, I think, is the label that was on that. But these give you a real leg up on building bits and pieces. You got some new pieces in today, do you?
Yes, I sure did. We've got There's a NATO aircraft revetment. This is something easy to just drop an airplane in. There's a couple of these setups. This one, it depicts some of the European airfields with the places for your airplanes and everything.
Too.
Yeah. Well, the Vietnam revetments are a little bit different. He does make those also.
Okay.
This is more specifically in the NATO range. But any of your NATO type aircraft, you can just kind of drop right in here with some of the ground crew type accessories and have yourself a pretty good diorama. And I'll slide another one in the front here. And this one is a carrier deck. Yeah. Nice local thing. We can do a carrier deck demonstration.
One of the guys had...
This was used in the... Matt Belk did.
Matt Belk had
an F-14.
An F-14 diorama on that worked out very, very nicely.
Sure did.
And a carrier deck diorama is particularly appreciated in Pensacola since we have the Naval Aviation Program right here in town. And that's what the guys want to do when they wrap it all up. How are we doing? You got some more bits and pieces?
Oh, we got all kinds of things. Some of the things to do the dioramas and demonstration things, you can look through a lot of the books. In the aircraft books, there's all kinds of pictures of the carrier deck things if you want to get information on that. You can find all kinds of neat pictures in here. We'll just kind of flip it open and see if we get lucky.
Let's
Most
flip
of these
to this
are
color page.
Yeah, the color page gives you all kinds of markings for doing different aircraft, and they give you some really nice pictures there.
Okay.
And they'll have all kinds of good
research in the
things.
hobby
Research
is
is
a
great.
big part of it.
One of the neat books we got in recently, let me see if I can pull that one out here, is for people who have broken models. If you've had some kind of problem with your model, it's great to build a diorama. This is a book full of broken airplanes. This is all kinds of crashed airplanes. There's 2 books of these now, and they have all kinds of just pictures of demolished airplanes, and you can see the B-24 here just stuck straight into the ground. So if you're missing pieces or drop your plane or something like that,
don't
take a look through the book. You can do something with it.
This is the time to go out and try all of those experimental things and not feel like you're throwing your money away by destroying a perfectly good kit.
That's right.
You can go back and
See,
model
I meant
the crash
to do that.
diorama. I meant to do it. I did it deliberately. Right.
That's right.
I've got some models like that.
Yeah.
Okay, what else you got
Then
in
there's
that secret box?
a lot of the other books, and they'll give you demonstrations of some pretty incredible kits made. This you can see up here in this corner, they've done a whole city in 1/35th scale, and they do some really incredible dioramas. We have a whole series of here we'll just kind of flip through. Verlinden Showcase and Super Dioramas.
How many books do you suppose we have just with regard to the military aviation? That's your department. I thought you might know the answer. Hundreds of them. So we could have been a bookstore. I wanted to take just this last moment here. We're down to the close to the wire, and mention those of you who might be in this kind of a hobby. Do all of those things to protect your life and well-being. Like if you're working on Mom's dining room table, be sure you cover it. That way you can last a lot longer. And if you're spraying paint, it's best that you do that outdoors. Those kinds of things. And if you're interested in this kind of hobby, come on down. We've got a lot of people who can talk to you about the hobby. We have a lot of reference material. We don't even get mad at people looking at the books if they're doing it carefully until 6 o'clock when we close. So if you have any kind of hobby questions, arts, crafts, or models, give us a shout down at Bobe's Hobby House. We're there from 9 till 6 Monday through Saturday, and we'll see you there.